Whoa! We're alive. Most of us. Welcome to another episode of Contorted. Hey, live from the Middle East, let's find Anna Venizelos, who is, to all possibilities, hanging out in the Upper West Side of the Isle of Man. Okay, I think that I'm inviting her. Let's see if she accepts. It's always very exciting to see whether she accepts me or not. It's like I'm always nervous. Like, what if she doesn't accept me? It's like asking someone to the prom. It's not like that at all. Waiting for Anna Venizelos. So welcome. Oh wait, Anna Venizelos joined, but I don't see her yet. She should be coming. Until then, I want to tell everybody to check out the Contorted YouTube page. So you can subscribe there. And I'm going to invite Anna again because I don't know where she is. She will be coming. We're excited for today. We're talking about coaches. Oh!
Hi.
There she is. I was so nervous.
That was so weird. Well, I requested you and you requested me, and I think we maybe canceled each other out for a second.
A lot of unrequested love. Oh, yeah. Well, in the end, love wins. That's what they say, right?
Always. So you were making your announcement.
I made some announcements. Also want to announce that there are now badges. So we're
at the bottom of the page.
Thrilled. Yeah, at the bottom of the page there, you can like go for a badge and support us a little bit. It's a little bit of like putting a dollar or a kopeck in our Contorted hat, and then your comments. You can comment quickly. You can comment and we'll see it more quickly. And then we'll be able to respond definitely to it. So if you feel like just like, hey, I really love Anna and Jonathan and Contorted, I'm gonna support them a little. Why not? We all need a little support. Hi, Anna.
Thank you. Thank you for being here anyway. Hi. So what are we talking about today?
Today on Contorted, we're talking about coaches.
Coaches, yes. So how to find one.
We're talking about coaches and stay around. And we're also talking about the waterfall. Some people might sort of call it
the dropback.
Oh, God, I hate that word. Yeah.
So yeah, we'll be talking about coaches in the first part, and then we're going to be breaking down waterfalls for you. So stay tuned.
And through it all, ask us questions. If we forget to answer them, stick them around and ask them in the end. Get a badge, and that'll definitely bring it to our attention. And during the week, anytime, send us a direct message that you want us to talk about. Anything.
I'm gonna add one little note to that. So we love you all. We love your questions, but please don't send a picture of yourself in a back bend or in a split and say, "How do I get more flexible?" We can't help you. We can't help you with that. There's probably about 600 things that we have to say to you regarding that, and that is best addressed in a private lesson. But if you have other questions pertaining to just discussion topics, we love to hear from you. And a lot of you have submitted questions, so that's great, and thank you for that.
Yeah. So to the topic of the day, coaches. I'll dive in. Yeah. Both the coach experience is a really deep and real relationship that both Anna and I hugely agree is integral to your training, to becoming a contortionist on your contortion journey, learning just proper technique. We both have had years, and it's years, it's investments of time, blood, sweat, tears, money, and the main thing is that you want to feel that your training is an investment in you. And just like any kind of investment, whether it's your retirement fund, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a friendship,
your
you
apartment,
need
your car, you know, if you look at it the same way.
completely. So anybody that's, you know, I get so many things like, why is why isn't it free? Why can't it be
Mm-hmm.
free? Can't you
Mm-hmm.
give me a
Mm-hmm.
free? Why can't it be free?
Mm.
And it comes down to a fact that when there is an exchange, then there's a commitment, and you
Mm-hmm.
need to
Mm-hmm.
commit. And
Exactly.
the coach is a commitment.
Mm-hmm. And I think it bears mentioning that we value what we pay for. You know, that's just the honest truth. If you're doing all these free challenges and free programs and free whatevers, there's you don't really have skin in the game, so to speak. You know, when you put down some money and you pay for coaching and you commit to it, you know, that tells your subconscious that you're there on a very serious and committed level. So I think that's essential.
So with that, then how do you find a coach? You know, where do you find a coach? You know, if you just go on the internet and be like, chief contortion coach, you know, God bless you. It's going to kind of get you
Yeah.
not in a good place. And it's very difficult. So Anna and I are both going to talk about, you know, the coaches that got us where we got to, and how we found them. So for me, I found my master coach through Mr. Lu Yi, you know, through a series of like fortunate events. It was Gypsy Snyder who, and I talked about it in episode 1, I think, you know, who I met in London, and she, you know, I told her that I wanted to find a contortion coach and for an adult, and she was like, go to San Francisco. I was living in London, and train with Mr. Lu Yi. And I was just like, okay, you know, and I wrote to him, and he said, yeah, come, we'll check it out. And we spoke, and he looked at my body, and he looked at where I was, and he said it will be 3 years. And I said, okay, I'll give you 3 years, and I will still, you know, I'm here for that. um I think that one of the most important things in finding a coach is trust.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Trust and legacy. Like, you need to
Mm.
see where also your coaches came from.
Absolutely. That's very important. Mm-hmm. Can
Do
I
you want
say
to tell?
something along those lines?
No, please don't.
Yes. So, probably something not to do is hop on Instagram and ask people that have amazing pictures on their account to coach you. Okay. Now, I can 100% understand how that's tempting and how, you know, like in our brain, that would make sense. This person is amazing. Look at them. They must be an amazing coach. Oftentimes, or at least sometimes, that is not the case, right? An amazing performer, an amazing artist does not always translate into an amazing coach. Okay. So that's point number one. However, that being said, I think we do both agree that a good coach is someone who, I'd say 99% of the time, has been in, you know, the performers or the trainees' shoes, right? Has done contortion, has experienced contortion at a high level, at a deep level, and can really break down what they're going to be teaching you, knows what you should be feeling, how you should be breathing, what kind of pain you might be feeling, and what's good pain, what's bad pain. So, yeah, kind of those two things, right? You can't hire someone based on just what their photos look like, but you also do want to hire somebody that has some experience. So I personally think asking around, you know, asking other people who they've trained with is a great idea, other people you respect. And then you can always, I mean, I'm happy and I'm very open to people asking me sort of interview questions, you know, like, who have you coached? What type of people have you worked with? Do you work with absolute zero beginners? You know, people ask me that. Um, and just being open to having a conversation with them, you know, because like Jonathan said, it's a real relationship, and one that should be treasured and respected and hopefully maintained for a long time. Because I think jumping around different coaches can be confusing, especially when you get a little more advanced, because you're getting different techniques, which is fine. I mean, Jonathan and I teach differently too. But if you're going to commit to somebody, you don't want like 3 different techniques in your brain, because that just starts to confuse you.
Definitely, 1000%. We both pretty much, I think, agree also that for a contortion coach, generally, and Anna said, it's pretty important that they were contortionists. Mm-hmm. Like in general, you want your contortion coach to have been or trained and or performed as a contortionist. Anna said that, you know, but it's very important. I mean, my coach, Mr. Lee, was not, but he was a guru mastermind. I mean, if you can find a like circus guru that just like knows everything and they're rare.
It's
super rare.
It's very
They're
rare.
really rare. So in general, especially for contortion, you do
and for
want
beginners, I think for people kind of at the beginning of their journey, it's important to be guided by somebody that has had those experiences, you know.
Yes. And there was Anna was touching on it. Oh, come on, brain. Come on. Fire up. Where was it? There was something that you said. I don't know. You said it all probably just beautifully. How old were you when you started? Does age matter when starting? Let's take that question quickly. Does age matter when starting? No, just start. What matters is to start. Like, and that's one of the things, like just in training, that's one of the things that sets them and us away. You know, those who are on the contortion journey and those that aren't. And it doesn't matter whether you're going to be, you know, doing triple folds or doing a hanging back bend. That's your contortion that you are doing. I started training when I was 23, and I trained for 4 years. 1 year basic training in London, 3 years super training in San Francisco.
I mean, I would also say just listen to last week's episode, because we went in depth on age and kind of, you know, the progression of that. So that might be interesting for you to listen to as definitely. Well. But just if we can, I'd love to touch a little bit on kind of some of the don'ts first when you're working with somebody, whether you're taking a class virtually, whether you're hiring a coach or whatever, when you're entering this relationship. Can we discuss some of the things to be aware of?
Definitely.
Okay, so number 1 is you should never, ever be pushed to attempt skills that you're not ready for. You want to speak to that a little bit?
Yes, and we'll be coming into that like with our waterfall also.
Totally.
But, yeah. You know, there's sort of ego training and non-ego training. There's, you know,
I like that. Yeah.
And you really want to try as much as possible to stay out of the ego training. And we're all doing it. We're on Instagram now. You know, it's like Instagram is where we get inspired. And it's also where we get kind of devalued. It's where we get like saddened. It's where we get less than. So it then does push us to go further than where we should be. And we're both going to be talking about that in a little bit. But you definitely don't want to feel the pressure of, if you are flexible, and I have this in yoga classes all the time, and I really do try to like yoga. I do. I try yoga. I try to like you. But then I go into a class and this teacher is like, oh, who's this guy? You know, and it's like, oh, I'm going to see like how much, you know, how much he can do.
You can go. Yeah, it's totally wrong.
So totally wrong and so bad. So you just have to be very careful of quote unquote who you get into bed with, you know, and
so maybe we should just talk about some specific things, like to give people like a clear example. I can give you one. So you go to a group class, or you're working one-on-one with a coach, and you're working on your splits. And let's say you're towards the beginning of your journey and you don't have your flat square hip split, right? We love this one. So you're not flat on the floor with your square hip split. Totally fine, right? That takes time for most people. So your coach says, great, let's put a couple yoga blocks under your front leg. Good or bad? Bad. No, 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 no. Here's the thing. And we absolutely agree 100%. There's no oversplits. There's no even attempting oversplits until you're down, you're flat, and you're solid and comfortable in your square hip split. Why are you hiking up your front leg? There's no need. It's dangerous. I've seen tons of hamstring injuries doing this. I've seen tons of lower back injuries because the hips aren't ready, and then the lower back takes the stress, right? Which is really common, unfortunately. So that's a biggie. You should not be attempting oversplits unless you have a really solid flat square hip split.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So be really careful of.
And then just about like putting people in positions. Maybe you can talk about that. Just putting people in more extreme positions.
Yeah, and I think it falls, especially in this time of more virtual learning and not being directly with your coach a lot of times, that you just need to be so much more cognizant and careful of what the coach is asking you to do, and to say, I don't feel comfortable doing this right now. If it's going too far, too fast. Especially chest stands.
And they should be asking you. They should be communicating with you. It's not, sorry to interrupt you, Jonathan, but it's not just like I used to have people come to my in-person class and be like, okay, I want you to put me in a chest stand. And I'd be like, okay, what's your experience? Have you done A, B, C, and D? Can you do a chest stand? No, never done it. So that is not appropriate for you. Maybe you're flexible enough for me to put you in a chest stand, but that's totally not the point. That's completely missing the point, because then you've skipped steps A, B, C, D, E, and you're just like, I want to do F.
Because you don't know the strength connection, you don't know your muscular connection, and you haven't done the breath techniques. And that all generally leads to blacking out.
Exactly.
And then we have to come over to you and like slap you and bring you back. It's not fun.
No. Please don't do that.
I had a boy in Melbourne. He was a teenager, and he was just like, yeah, I'm going to do my Australian accent again.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I can do a chest stand, and he went into it and blacked out. And I was like, okay, we're going to do it again, but you're going to do it slower and with this kind of breathing. And he went right back into it again and blacked out again. I just sent him onto the couch. I was like, you go to the couch and think about what you just did. Because it's all so progressional. Progression is a great word. So if your coach ever says, like, let's just go for it.
No.
Go out the door.
Yeah.
I think I won't pay for this lesson.
So a lot of my students have been with me for years, which I love. I love developing that long-term relationship. And they will tell you that they all start out with conditioning. And a lot of them were like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing lunges? What are we doing? And I was like, you are building a foundation so that a year from now, you're not going to blow out your lower back. You're not going to tear your labrum. You're not going to mess up your shoulder, So there is very much a progression. There's very much a foundation. And you want to look at it kind of as like a long-term journey, And I personally, those foundational elements are what I rely on more than anything in my training.
Completely, exactly. And Cirque Gymnast, thank you for that comment right now. They just said the exact same thing, that there's a feeling now that there's such limited time. I mean, it's a concept that, Corona, who knows what, so we gotta do this, plus we gotta catch up on Instagram to everybody else and YouTube to everybody else. We gotta, you know, they have to catch up quickly is what Cirque Gymnast is saying, which is precisely, and forget that, that you have to start from a good foundation. So you're exactly spot on and right. So, you know, in our final brief moments of talking about how to find a coach, I think that the first element that Anna said, you know, is talk to your friends or talk to people that you trust and see who they think. That's how I found mine that I spent 3 years with. You know, talk to people. Who is good? Who isn't good? Who do you trust? Who seems a little bit janky? Who seems a lot of janky? So,
and you also want to be aware of pricing. You know, like we mentioned in the beginning, you get what you pay for. You know, nothing worth having is free, right? So you kind of just want to beware of people that are charging really low rates, you know, and I would be, I would wonder why they were charging such a low rate.
Yeah, just be careful, be smart. It's the reason, and don't piecemeal your training together. Don't make it like a puzzle that you're going to grab something from here on Instagram and something over there from YouTube.
No.
And I saw this online and that looked really interesting. And that's, and I'll just, you know, I need to plug, that's why I made Contorture. Because 5 years ago, I saw like everybody just like screwing themselves up in awful technique that will be like going now into our segue to the waterfall. Just like horrible, dangerous training. That there was a need for a cohesive, safe program. So whether it's mine, whether it's Anna's, whether it's somebody that you find that you trust, find it, do it. Don't puzzle piece it together.
Yeah, and we would be happy to, if you want to ask us to ever, you know, you can DM us and ask us our opinion. We're happy to help with that.
Absolutely, completely. Yeah. Should we move on to our next topic, Anna?
Absolutely. Let's move on.
So, the next is one of my favorites. I posted it tonight on my Instagram that I just did down at the beach of the Mediterranean Sea on the the waterfall. The waterfall. Also, some people might sort of term it as what, Anna?
The dropback.
So
I'm not. Yeah, that makes Jonathan's skin crawl. So I'm not particularly, you know, partial either way to terminology, but you are.
I am. I'm most partial to it because the reason that, and I will take all credit unless, you know, until somebody like betters me, but you won't, for inventing the term of the waterfall. Like I did term it the waterfall. You're welcome. Because I saw so many people doing these horrible, ugly, unsafe dropbacks. These like I do yoga dropbacks. And they were uncontrolled, unconnected, disconnected, and just like, and they were dropping back. And it was so dangerous and so awful and so disrespectful to a body. And like the terminology was just like the whole essence of disrespect to a body. I'm just going to drop back. I was like, no, be strong and be solid and be secure in what you're doing. Be like a waterfall. You know, it starts at the top, is strong going down. And then you can like, you know, do some lucid dreaming and bring it back up the other way. So that's where the waterfall was born. Anna, what do you feel is the main thing that what do you hate the most when you see people doing bad dropbacks or waterfalls?
Oh, the list is too long. So maybe we'll just talk about sort of how we would teach it. And I think it's a little different, but you know, going back to technique and just individuality and biomechanics, I think coaches can have different techniques and they can be valid. And again, it's just what works for your body, right? For everybody's a little different. So I will discuss sort of my breakdown of a waterfall. So as we all know, we have different parts of our back, right? We have our cervical spine, our upper back, middle back, and then our lumbar spine or our lower back. And the points that bend the most easily are the cervical spine, so your neck, and your lumbar spine, your lower back, right? We all know that. You know, we always say, don't just go into your lower back. You've heard that a million times. That being said, I say to people all the time, look, you're doing contortion. Your lower back is going to bend, because people, I think, kind of go in the other direction and panic and say, I feel my lower back. I feel my lower back. And it's like, you will feel your lower back, but as part of a larger balanced curve of your entire spine. Okay. So it shouldn't just be dumping into your lower back. So that being said, I actually like to start people off, let's say a beginner on their knees, and just learning how to start with length up through the spine. And personally, I like to sequence a drop back starting with the top of the head. So
1000%.
I actually, I shouldn't see you shoving your hips forward and bending your lower back, right? You know how people normally do, like they just kind of stick their, they do the hip thrust and the lower back bends immediately.
You know what I call that? Do you know what I call that?
What do you call that? I
call it the poopy position.
Okay. So no poopy position.
Because it looks like you're making a poopy.
It should be a waterfall. Yeah, no poopies. It should start from the top and progress down sequentially, right? And your lower back is part of that progression. The way I like to teach it is your lower back isn't involved until about the halfway mark, right? So that means you've already you've started with your head, you've accessed your cervical spine, your neck, you've gone through your upper back, you're in your middle back, and now we absolutely need the lower back. You have to use your lower back. It's contortion, okay? So that's when we use the hips moving forward. And then, of course, the hips moving forward involves the lower back for that last part of the back bend. Okay?
Exactly.
And then coming up, you would do that in reverse. So coming up, the hips lead, right? So you start with the hips and the lower back. And then the front of the body becomes very important, because that's kind of knitting together and forming that support for you to restack your spine. Okay, so I'll stop there. You go ahead.
Okay, I'll take it from here. That was beautifully said.
Cool.
And we're not that far off. I mean, we're not that different in our techniques, really. Yeah, because so I'll just start with what I hate, because it's always so much easier to do that. Okay, so a few things that I hate. I hate when I'm talking to you. I hate when you keep your eyes closed. I really hate that. I hate when you close your eyes.
Do people really do that?
Eyes. People do that. So keep your eyes open. Thanks. Yeah. So here's the second thing that I hate that you do. I hate it.
That's such a strong word.
No, I know it is, but that's how people change their ways. I hate when people keep their chin to their chest.
Oh yeah. Okay.
You know, they're going backwards, and they're like, and they're doing this, and then they're coming up. And when they come up, they like start with they initiate with their chin to their chest. Yeah. No.
Yeah, because you're breaking the whole kinetic chain.
Breaking the whole kinetic chain. So it's all a sequence, and it's all this kind of like body wave that you really want to think about going down and coming up. So no chin to chest. Keep your eyes open. The whole breathing is a whole other thing that I think is going to be a whole like contorted section, a whole contorted episode about breath. Because it's so freaking important. And basically exactly as Anna said, in the sequencing of it, you need the strength and control to make it not a drop back, so that you have the security and stability in your front. That's why I call contortion and back bend, to back bend from the front, from the abs, from the transverse abdominis, and from your hip flexors. So you need all of that. And also, one thing that Anna didn't mention was the knees, in the initiation of the knees to take you down, so it's like the back is at the very end, the knees bend and take you down. And then when you're coming back, just reversing it. It goes the knees, the hips, and driving it forward and bringing it up. So I feel
like a lot of people are afraid to bend their knees. Have you had that, Jonathan?
A lot of people are very afraid to bend their knees. Yeah. Very afraid. Yeah.
So your knees are brakes.
Knees
are brakes, so you don't crash down onto your hands.
Completely. So a lot of it comes back to that, finding a good coach who is going to break things down in a way that is sequentially smart and safe in your body to do these really intense things. So And then it does a lot of it just comes back to breath also, is where you breathe in the right place so that you can naturalize the movement. So so we're going to be talking about that a lot more in further episodes. We're at our kind of like 30-minute mark. We could just keep on going. But Anna, is there anything more in the waterfall drop back, quote unquote, story?
I would like to just give maybe a few pointers to people, in the beginning stages. I think neither of us really believe in doing the walk down the wall. Am I right in saying that? Okay. So walking down the wall is not good, because I'll tell you why. It does not teach you proper weight distribution in the feet, which is so essential. So you have the wall there taking a significant amount of your weight, and that means weight is coming out of your feet, especially out of the ball of the foot, and it's going into your heels, right? Which is totally not what happens in a real life drop back or a real life waterfall. You're never going to be throwing that much weight back that soon in the movement. In fact, the way I like to have people think about it is you want to keep your weight in your feet, and that includes the balls of your feet, as long as possible when you're dropping back. And that gives you the control, right? Your control.
Absolutely, 1,000%.
Then it's the opposite on the way. Yeah, and then on the way up, it's the opposite. You want to get your weight into your feet as soon as possible. The wall does not teach that.
So the wall, I'm just going to like chime in because I thought of something clever.
Please.
Like using the wall is like suffocating your feet.
All right.
You can quote me on that, because you're basically just like suffocate. Because I talk a lot about like creating brains in little synapses. You need multiple brains in your body to do contortion. You need brains in your hands that are working and like operating and sparking synapses, I don't know, in their own ways. And then you need the brains in your toes. Those are my toes. Ooh. That are like, look, aren't they cute? My one toe is a little bit longer than the others, and they're smart. So that they're working exactly as much as the other. So as soon as you like start getting lazy in your feet and give it into the wall, your feet stop thinking, and they need to be thinking the whole time, because the feet, again, that's what's going to be lifting you up into your contortion handstand. They need to be the guys that are.
Yeah. If you've disabled your base by launching yourself back into the wall, you are not, I'm going to go back to that term of kinetic chain. You're not training the proper kinetic chain, the proper patterning, let's say. So just quickly, I'm going to say, if you're beginning your waterfall journey, start on your knees, right? Start with your knees parallel, maybe a little wider than hip distance. Legs are parallel, and you're standing up on your knees, right? And it would be called like a camel in yoga, but you're basically doing a drop back on your knees. You're doing a drop back on your knees, and that helps to sort of, that does start to train that patterning of how to drop back and where to lift without the fear of standing and having the longer lever of your legs and the greater distance of getting to the floor, right? So I would definitely start on the knees and start working the proper patterning that way. Okay, absolutely. I'm done.
Okay, well done. Nice.
Cool.
So if you have any little questions now at this moment, you can shoot us a little message in that little comment section at the bottom, and we'll take a couple questions if you like. While you are doing that, and I have a couple of announcements that are kind of exciting and great. Firstly is the YouTube channel, which is great. We have all of the Contorted there, so you can catch up, and you can see our gorgeous piece together, which really never got performed as much as it should. So you should see Avanti act there as well. Yeah. So that's at the Contorted channel. It will.
Might someday.
Absolutely will. Second thing that's exciting is we have 2 giveaways happening soon. Mine is happening now. Anna's is happening soon. Contorture 5-pack. Free, $250 value. Free. So the drawing is going to be this coming Friday. And you can enter as many times as you like. It's very simple entry rules. Go to the Contorture Instagram, and it's right there. So good luck, and may the odds be in your favor. Anna is going to be having a a giveaway soon?
I am going to be having a giveaway very soon. Probably not this week, but the coming week. And it's, first of all, to celebrate me becoming a health coach, certified as a health coach. Woohoo!
Amazing.
So that was kind of my, that was my COVID project for the past 6 months. So I'm going to be doing a fun giveaway. I'm partnering with Nosan, which is an amazing protein powder. So I'm going to be giving away a canister of protein powder, and then also a free health coaching session with me.
Amazing.
So, yeah,
so
that'll
awesome.
be coming up. Yeah.
So proud of you, Anna Venizelos, for achieving that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been a long time coming.
Everybody make sure that you are following at Anna Venizelos and check out all of the posts that are going to be coming there with all of her wisdom and knowledge as a really great integrated health coach. Super good.
Thank you. Yeah, and we'll be chatting about nutritional topics for sure in the future. There's so much, under that umbrella. So much.
Yeah, maybe next week will be nutrition and supplements.
That would be cool, and we'd love to know if you have specific questions or concerns, anything, health and diet related. I am here for it.
Awesome. Well, everybody, thank you so much for joining us for Contorted this week from Tel Aviv and from
New York City.
And just have an awesome week. Be safe and smart and train strong and slow.
Yeah. Take your time.
All right.
So we bid you farewell.
Farewell, everybody. Thank you for joining us and have an awesome week. Great to see you, Anna.
Good to see you too. Bye-bye.
Bye, Al.